Yes, so this is our first episode of Travel Baggage, which is kind of our chat show that we're doing together. Ultimately, we're going to talk about kind of all things travel, some light topics, some serious topics, some current affairs, some not so current affairs. But today, we've decided to talk about COVID, quarantine,
Yeah.
lockdown, air bridges.
Well, yeah, because I think it's something that I'm certainly interested in terms of getting my life back together. I think I did
Mm,
25 flights last year
mm,
and barely scraped two this year.
yeah,
So
yeah.
travel was a big part of my life. I think it's been a big part of everyone's life. It's the kind of thing that it's our thing to look forward to, isn't it?
Yes, yeah,
So,
definitely, definitely.
and the rules change all the time. So it's quite scary for people to make a decision on whether or not they can book a
Yeah,
holiday. So I guess it's probably worth starting with, is it okay to book a holiday now?
yeah.
What's your view as a travel agent? Because obviously I'm coming at this as your mate of, oh, God knows how long, 11 years?
11 years now, I know, yeah.
11 years. Yeah, so you moved into travel a couple of years ago
Yep,
from events, but you were a world
yes,
traveler before that. So you were
yeah,
my person to go to about travel, even before it was your
yeah.
job.
And
We planned many a
that's
trip
kind
that
of
we didn't
how
make
it
it
came.
onto.
Hmm?
We planned many a trip we didn't get to make.
Honestly, like we planned more trips than anything else. I think we were constantly talking about, like, let's go to LA, let's go to Japan, let's go somewhere else. I think
We've got all
that's
the
the.
itineraries, haven't we? Like
I was
somewhere in Google
obsessed.
Drive.
Spreadsheets were my friend. I think that's the events manager in me, but I think also the travel planner in me as well was like, let's spreadsheet a holiday. We may not go on
Five
it, we can't afford it.
five drinks in, you're like opening up your laptop.
There's that world tour plan that we're going on that never actually happened. Still to this day, we've never
Not
actually been on a
yet.
holiday together.
No, which is a shame. But
Well, this
perhaps not
could be
this
our
year.
road. This could be our road. We may have to do a road trip in a few years' time when this takes off and do live in person at all the venues we talk about.
So yeah, so I am scared about booking travel
Mm,
because I've had a couple of trips I've booked, like when
yeah.
the air corridor opened to Amsterdam,
Hmm.
towards the end of the first lockdown, because I do
Yeah.
stand-up comedy as a side hustle, which has become
Yes.
like a
Yeah.
real
Yeah. Yeah.
like it feels more my job than my actual job, but not if you're watching, colleagues. It's not. It's slightly. So like Amsterdam was open for business a lot quicker than the UK, so they
Yes.
started to do comedy nights. So I got invited over there for work to do a
Mm-mm.
comedy night, booked the tickets, was all excited. A
Mm.
week before that corridor collapsed. And I've got to say, EasyJet were really good. Like they were
Mm.
straight away,
Really? Okay.
we think there's something. They've been brilliant throughout. I've got, as
Yeah.
brands, like there's winners and losers of brands, but as
Yeah.
brands that
Yeah.
have really overperformed,
Mm.
they offered a really specific reassurance guarantee right at the
Good.
start of
Good.
COVID, actually, because we
Yeah.
had a
Yeah.
couple of flights booked with them, just saying if you want to move your travel, you can. If
Yeah.
something goes wrong, we've got you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And you just had to say that you wanted a refund or you wanted a voucher and they would action it. Like you didn't
Yeah.
have to go to them for it at the
Yeah.
start.
Yeah.
They might
Yeah.
have changed their position a little bit now. But
I think
similarly,
people have got
yeah,
better, definitely. At the very beginning, it was chaos, as we kind of talked about briefly in kind of the pilot we did. The kind of initial shock, I think, to the system definitely threw chaos up in the air, and people just didn't know what to do ultimately. And kind of there was this talk about credit notes, are they ATOL protected? There was so much uncertainty about it. And if I'm being honest, that kind of hasn't officially changed. I think because it's such a large beast, the travel industry, because you're not just dealing with kind of our regulations, you're dealing with the regulations and rules of other countries as well. So kind of each country has the responsibility to say whether or not they want to receive guests or travelers from the UK. And we've also got the right to say, well, we don't want to receive people back as well. So that was kind of how these air bridges came about ultimately. They were a way of establishing a two-way relationship between countries, of saying, we'll happily let you travel there and come back without having to do a quarantine or isolating kind of thing.
but the trouble is those air bridges aren't guaranteed, are they? Because
No, no.
every day, because we managed to get away to Greece earlier in the year, every
Mm.
day
Mm-hmm.
we check the news to
Yeah,
see if we'd have to scrabble home. And like
yeah, yeah,
every
yeah.
day I had a flight app open ready to book a flight because
Mm.
they were closing them down and giving people 24 hours to get out. So those bridges
Yeah.
don't feel very secure when you're
No, and I
crossing
think
them.
this has been the big frustration, I think, of us as travel agents. We want to sell something, but we don't know what we can sell. And those goalposts move on a daily basis because, yeah, the air bridge for one destination could open. The rules about isolation and quarantine can change. And then the other thing that makes it tricky as well is even if a country is possibly on an air bridge, there are certain Caribbean islands that you still have to kind of do a test when you arrive. You may have to pay like a bond ultimately to kind of go, so that if you do have to isolate, they've got money there ready to kind of put you up in a hotel. So I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It is a bit of a minefield at the moment, I think, to know exactly where you can go and where you can't. We as travel agents have kind of like a cheat sheet ultimately of destinations that are really easy to get to, where the rules are softer than other countries. Pretty much at the moment, they're kind of Dubai for winter anyway. Dubai is a really good one now. They've just introduced an air bridge with us and there's no kind of requirement. I need to double check whether or not you have to take a PCR test, which is like a COVID test. I'm not sure off the top of my head whether you have to take one or not. These rules are kind of changing again.
Our side or their side?
I believe it's to go there, basically, and then you're fine to come back type of thing. I know definitely for the Canaries, because this is where the uncertainty came in. When the Canaries went back on the air travel corridor list, there was no requirement to take a test, and you didn't have to isolate on arrival or return. But I believe it was literally this week they've now announced that they're now requiring all passengers to take a PCR COVID test before you arrive in the country. And that in itself has become a bit of an uncertainty thing as well, because a lot of people don't know what these tests are or which one to take. There's no regulation, I guess, on kind of who's providing these tests, because you can't take one of the free NHS ones either. You can't kind of, what a lot of people have said is, maybe I'll pretend to be sick and I'll pop to the NHS and I'll get one of them, and then that'll get me to be able to travel. They don't count. You have to take a private one. Right. And it's a bit of the Wild West of costing as well, unfortunately.
Crazy,
some of these tests are extortionate and others aren't. I think a lot of people, unfortunately, have cottoned on to there is a demand.
Supply and demand, isn't it? Yeah.
So, but the good news is today, and I just literally pulled the article up to double check what they're referring to it as, but the government have announced literally today, the wrong article, what are they calling it? The test to release scheme. So this doesn't apply to countries on the air corridor list. This is for countries that aren't. And this is fantastic news, because there are so many countries that you just outright can't travel to. You have to isolate for 14 days on arrival and 14 days on return, which
and that rinses your holiday, doesn't it? It's like if you can't
unless
leave
you could afford to do a month-long holiday and take that time off work, then yeah, great.
Are you seeing that though? I guess, right. Tell me about this thing first, and then we'll talk about the longer-term holidays, because I'm interested in that. So
so
talk to me about the new rules.
For me, hopefully, wanting to go to America, this possibly could be a great solution for that, because at the moment you can't go to America. They've closed their border, we've closed ours, so there's no two-way agreement. This could open up the door to that, and I've seen rumours of possibly certain states like New York are looking at introducing this scheme. So you could travel there if you are willing to take a test before you fly. So if you pay for one of these PCR tests, you could go to New York. But then equally as well, once you return, basically you have to isolate for 5 days. But then on day 5, you can take one of these new COVID tests that are coming out. And if you get a negative result, you no longer have to quarantine. So not a perfect solution, but it is a step in the right direction. And I think that's what the travel industry as a whole just want. We just want rules to play with, so that there is a playing field that we know, great, we can advise customers moving forward of, if you really want to go on this holiday, you can do it, but these are the things you'll have to do. Whereas, as you say at the moment, by the time we've booked it and they're going, the rules are completely different.
So I guess looking at where we are versus where we were back in May, like, it's phenomenal how quick they've adjusted. If you think like no one could go anywhere to, there are all these different things in place. So looking ahead to summer, I'm starting to feel it might be okay to look to book somewhere. So
yeah, definitely. That's the signs we're seeing type of thing. If you look at the roadmap, we've obviously now got the vaccines, and more vaccines are coming online type of thing. And that's just a positive thing. I think the fact there's options available, so there's more than one kind of manufacturer, just means the supply is going to be bigger, but also the competition's bigger as well. So pricing and kind of volume, all that type of stuff. It's just good news ultimately that there's choices. So I think that will kind of help alleviate some of the concerns of, is it safe to be on a cruise ship? Is it safe to be in a pool? Is it safe to be in a resort? I think because there'll be, 50% of people are vaccinated. So it just reduces that burden on healthcare systems. So I think that's a positive thing. And then a case of if there are then these tests that you can take as well. And there's rumours that Boots are looking to introduce these tests as well. So you can pop into your Boots and get these tests on the high street. There was an announcement by one of the ministers as well that they're looking to introduce a £75 COVID test by the middle of December. So it just brings all these things slightly more attainable rather than being kind of these big shock cost type of thing on top of what is already an expensive holiday.
It's such a shame though, isn't it, that it'll be the people that can afford it that can go first. So
yeah,
I know
that
the way
unfortunately
is
the economy, isn't it? That's kind of how the economy works, unfortunately. I'm not particularly happy about it because I've got the same situation. My own mother, she's meant to be going away Christmas Day, and she's literally kind of saying that extra cost, but for the two of them, is just pushing her over her budget for the holiday. That's ultimately not her spending money, but that's a good chunk of her spending money on holiday. And she's kind of umming and ahhing now of, can I go? Do I go? I need to look into that.
Did you get her a good cancellation deal? Did you make sure that was checked?
This is again where it's going to get into a grey area though, because technically if the border's open and she can travel, it's a grey area between kind of the tour operator of, well, it's your choice not to travel, you still can. Some tour operators we're working with are being really great and really flexible, and they're going, yep, not a problem, we understand, move your booking forward another date. Others aren't. So that's one I do need to look into, because she's only just told me today that she's thinking of not going now. But this is the thing, this is why, and again, I keep saying it, this can't stress enough about having a good travel agent who knows all these options, knows the suppliers to go to, and make sure that if you are concerned, if you are someone who's afraid to book, we just make sure we get you a kind of really flexible holiday, and we put you with a supplier who's put these processes in place and are transparent about them, and you're not getting any nasty surprises, because that's the last thing you want when things are so volatile. It's just to have a nasty surprise last minute.
And you can check in on things like the caliber of tests that they require, because that's like, it's like the ESTA form, isn't it? You can imagine people rolling up with their NHS tests, having a massive tantrum at the gate because they're not allowed to fly. So that is that part of the package. Because I've got to say, because we booked with you shortly before lockdown, and we got our money back within a couple of weeks. Like, it was insane. I had to do nothing for it. It was incredible. Like, my mates were like, oh, I'm on the phone to the travel agent and I'm going to go to the regulator. And I was like, I just gave it to Kieran, and Kieran keeps updating me. I did not expect to see that money back as quick as we got it. It was a
two-pronged approach ultimately.
I think it was
it was about 6 weeks. Yours was one of the first I got back as well, personally. So it was
from the moment we knew we couldn't go. So it wasn't like 6 weeks from the holiday. It was from the moment it was announced that those flights weren't flying. The clock started. So genuinely, like, massively exceeded my expectations.
It was a two-pronged thing though as well, of kind of like with the supplier we booked your holiday with, and I don't want to name and shame anyone, so I'm being careful about not naming any brands type of thing. I'll tell people if they ring me, but I'm not going to do it publicly. But the brand we used for your holiday, they were really, really good. They were one of the first to kind of go, right, this is the process, this is the situation, and they put in a process straight away to say, do this, and we'll process this within this time frame. Some were really bad, and I've spent probably up to 3-4 hours on hold myself for customers to kind of start the process. And
that means that the customer doesn't have to do it. You do all that. That's on you. That's your job. Amazing.
I honestly thought being a travel agent would be really fun and glamorous, but I spend over half of my day on hold to different businesses and brands to try and speak to them to not just sort out problems, just to do basic things of like, hi, can I confirm their seats?
So for people who've already, unfortunately, fallen down the trapdoor of going with a travel agent that's not good, what would you do? What would you tell them to do on the call? Are there any things that they should be quoting? Is there anything they should be saying? What are our rights? What should we know?
So when it comes to your rights, so let's kind of look at a blanket. The easy one to address ultimately is if your holiday is cancelled and it's under kind of the FCDO advice, so the border gets closed by kind of the Foreign Office. That's
They're just letters. They're just letters. What's FCDO? Come on.
So I forgot what the D stands for now, but it was the Foreign Commonwealth Office.
That's why you didn't tell us, because you don't.
No, I know. I forgot what the D stands for. They just added the D in randomly. The D cropped in all of a sudden. I was like, where did this D come from?
They brought it in today just to bamboozle Kieran on this live.
Literally, it was. Everyone was talking about the FCDO. I'm like, is this new? Who are these? Like, no, they just added the D in for the fun of it. I'm like, great, thanks. But if they decide to close the border outright for whatever reason, either the other country does or we say we don't want you go into that country, then if you've got a protected holiday, so an ATOL protected holiday, then technically you are entitled to a full refund.
Letters? What are the letters, please? ATOL, come on.
ATOL. So ATOL is, now I've had to write this down because
Come
you're
on.
testing me. You're testing me now. So ATOL is the Air Tour Operators Licensing, ultimately. So they are the people that kind of protect holidays, ultimately. So if you are booking a packaged holiday, it will generally be ATOL protected, which just means if any one part of the holiday fails, you're protected ultimately. It's not necessarily to protect it for this situation. That's a different regulation, which is PTR, which is the package travel regulations. But they're both interlinked ultimately. They both do different things, but they both protect package holidays ultimately. There's another one, which is ABTA as well, which I was going to bring up, which is the Association of British British Travel Agents, which is basically a board that we agree. This is, it's a top level thing, ABTA ultimately. So if you are a member of ABTA, which we are, you're basically agreeing to conduct yourself in a kind of well-documented way. You're following good practices, you're booking holidays in a safe, sane way, and also you're making sure that your customs money is protected. So to be an ABTA member, you have to have your money in a holiday trust. So it means we don't spend your money until you've travelled ultimately. So it protects your money so that it doesn't get spent on frivolous things. That's what that does. ATOL ultimately protects you if the business goes out of business ultimately. So if the airline goes out of business, the hotel goes out of business, it just means there is a pot of money there to solve that problem, but also to kind of repatriate you or refund you should your holiday kind of your money disappear ultimately because the business fails. PTR, package travel regulations, are there to protect the quality and kind of the substance of your holiday. So it's there to make sure that if you book a package holiday, you don't have to book a package holiday. You can book things DIY yourself, but you get none of these protections ultimately. You personally are taking on the responsibility of putting that package together yourself.
Oh, right. So this is just specifically for travel agents, this protection?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and this is why, this is the benefit of a travel agent. They're the only people, or a tour operator, are the only people who can sell ABTA or ATOL protected holidays. And the package travel regulations are basically what defines whether one is one or the other ultimately, whether it is a package or it's not. And again, so a package, and I think we talked about it briefly last time, a package, a PTR or package travel regulation just basically means of if the hotel closes, the tour operator first, before ATOL kicks in, has to basically go to you and say, right, this hotel is closed for whatever reason, they're refurbing, it's caught fire, we're going to move you to this other hotel. Is this suitable for you? And it's just to make sure that you get protection of your holiday has some level of protection and the responsibility falls on the tour operator rather than you to fix that problem.
Right.
Now,
right, go on.
No, carry on.
More. I was just going to say, because I want to move on to like when a deal's not a deal, because obviously Black Friday's coming, so this is really useful information. But finish your point first, but that is our next question.
I was just going to say, so this is where then some brands have decided to leave ABTA over kind of the COVID period, unfortunately, and a lot of them are what we refer to as OTAs, or online travel agents. So they're the people you kind of go to and you get really cheap holidays online. They basically decided to leave ABTA during coronavirus because they're not comfortable with the refund process that ABTA have outlined. They've outlined that refunds have to be done within a reasonable time. They're basically saying, well, we can't do that. But they're also saying that they don't want to prescribe to PTR regulations. So they're basically saying it's not our responsibility to solve the holidays, it's the customers once they've booked it.
Right.
They're
yeah.
naughty.
So they're not real travel agents then, if they
Moving
don't really
forward,
want to take
not,
the
no.
risk of like the customer not getting what they want. That's
yeah.
The difference between an e-commerce site and a travel agent, I guess.
Pretty much. And it's always been a bit of a grey area in the past. It's never really been as disparate. But now, obviously, now that they've decided to leave ABTA, it's definitely a big gap now. They're making big, bold steps to say, we don't want to prescribe to this kind of trading standards, ultimately, ABTA is. It's not an official trading standards, but it's a way of saying, as a travel agent, you are trading at a certain level and you're doing certain things to protect customers' holidays. So by believing that,
voluntary.
It's
a voluntary thing. It's a voluntary code of conduct.
It's again,
like not once you're in there, but you have to opt in. Is that
you
right?
have to be able to sell a package holiday. You have to be either an ABTA member or an alternative. There are a few alternatives out there, like PTS, Protected Travel Services. There's a few others out there that do the same thing, which basically it means about bonding and protecting the customer's money.
So it's flight and hotel. Is that automatically a package, or is there some kind of? All right.
Yeah, to be a package holiday, it has to have more than one element.
right. That's
Sorry,
what
yeah. A package holiday
even
has to have.
even if you Frankenstein it together on like somewhere like Expedia, it's still a package holiday by definition.
No. It's
No?
only a package. If they issue an ATOL license, then it's an official ATOL package holiday.
Right, I see.
Some, however, they do let you buy things off package, so they're not officially wrapped up in this ATOL protection. So always check that if this matters to you, that if they mention that this is an ATOL protected holiday. Some of them online, they do still package them and you can pick and choose your own thing. But if you maybe go to, I don't know, like hotels.com and you book your hotel, but then you then go to Virgin, you book your flights, that's not an ATOL protected holiday.
But where sites pull everything together, so if you say put on a travel site, I want a flight and accommodation, all in the same site infrastructure, even if it's from different providers, is that a package or is that still just...
It depends ultimately. It depends on
tool?
whether they are members of ABTA and whether or not they prescribe to ATOL. So they will say on there whether or not that holiday is ATOL protected.
Okay.
There are a few, I can't remember the name of them off the top of my head, but there are a few that don't. So even though you can go on their website and you can book flights and accommodation at the same time, they're not packaging them and protecting them as an ATOL holiday. They're just selling two services under the same invoice, but they're not packaged holidays. But technically that is a package.
Yeah. So what we can do is we'll post on this on your Facebook. Is that the easiest way for people to find it? So if you put all the information together just for people to find, where's the best place? Would it be there?
I think the best thing to do is
We're
just
doing
always
the admin
check.
in front of everyone.
They legally have to show the ATOL logo. So that's the key thing to look for. Definitely make sure they've got an ATOL logo on their website. If they've got an ATOL logo, then you're good, basically. Anything you book with them should be ATOL protected. If they haven't got an ATOL logo on there, and you can maybe live chat them and ask if they are ATOL members and they say no, I would just be cautious. There's nothing wrong with booking it, but just be aware of you haven't got this protection in place.
Okay. So, Cyber Week, Black Friday weekend. Are the deals any good?
It's gone crazy. It's gone crazy. Better than I anticipated.
Just because people are buying them, are they good? Are they competitive to what you see in the
No, they are really good deals. Really good deals. And I think this comes back to this, I think, excitement that the travel industry has of kind of the looming kind of return to recovery, I guess, road to recovery. So all these great offers, they've just kind of gone, great, let's go for it. Let's put together some really great deals, some really great offers. I was looking at kind of Princess Cruise Lines where they're offering free upgrades to balconies. So you can pay for kind of an inside room, which I'm not going to slag off an inside room. They're there for the right customer. Not for me anymore.
They're a value choice, but I would not like that.
I've done it once, and
even if it was really bougie room, I've got to have light. It's I don't want to be a princess about it. I like to see outside.
They're offering free upgrades to a balcony from paying for an inside room, so that's a massive saving. Absolutely crazy. Virgin
I saw
Holidays...
that Vegas trip you put up as well, which is like 5 days in the Bellagio and flight, and the dates are really bloody good. Like I nearly went for it. I literally messaged you and I was like, because it's upper class, which is I mean that flight
sold
alone
out
would
within
cost
about
that money.
3-4 hours. They did.
I know, but because basically, I guess what I'm asking is a lot of people are quite cynical about Black Friday at the moment because some slightly less, well, a lot of brands abuse it, don't they? They put out old stock.
Oh, absolutely.
They put one item from the new thing at a discounted price, and when it's gone, it's gone. There's a lot of distrust about Black Friday, but what you're saying is these deals are legit. They're the real deal.
They're legit, but they are very much limited inventory as well. So it's a case of like the Virgin Flights upper class situation. There are, I don't know the number, but there are only so many seats available at that price. The whole industry works on dynamic pricing ultimately. So they'll release a certain number of bedrooms, a certain number of flights at kind of special promotional prices. So it is definitely, unfortunately, a case of you need to jump on them if you see them and you like it. You can't kind of go, well, I'll wait and see if it kind of changes. Like that offer, they've posted 4 different versions of it. One for New York now. I've just literally posted that on my Facebook page. But also they've done another one for Vegas
you take
as well.
that down. You take that down so I looked at it.
I was tempted myself. Literally, it's about the same price. It's about $1,300 per person, upper class.
It's so good.
4 nights.
And I know
in
that's
New
good
York.
because I'm such a Virgin Atlantic fan, so I know the difference between the two, and it is, you should all experience it at least once in your life. I'm saving my Amex points for it.
And
so
the unique
what's
thing
your
about
advice?
this one is, as well, it's return. Usually they do it to trick you, like say, to kind of make you kind of go, oh, great. They do it one way. So you fly out first class and you come back economy. And like, who wants to do that? Who wants to be teased?
I don't know. I think I'd still go for it. But okay, what are your top tips then for Black Friday travel? What should we be looking for? What should we avoid?
Have an idea in mind of where you want to go, because there's going to be a lot of noise. I'm already seeing it, and we haven't even hit kind of the peak of Black Friday deals kind of thing. We get regular emails, we get offers on kind of private Facebook groups from all the suppliers of kind of what's coming. There's a lot of offers coming, and they are great. They're really good. You can save multiple hundreds of pounds per person off your holiday. Have an idea in mind of where you want to go or what type of holiday you want to do, and then just keep an eye on those types of holidays, if that makes sense.
Are there any particular places you think are going to get deeply discounted as a tip for people who don't know? Because I don't know. So
cruise is going to be a big one.
I'd like the best for the least. Basically, that's my brief. That's the kind of brief I give to you. What would you say?
All encompassing.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to be cruise. Cruise is going to be the big one, just because there's a lot of uncertainty about when cruise will come back online. There's a lot of inventory as well there that is available to book. And a lot of the cruise ships have moved their itinerary. So they've had to cancel, say, maybe like the Far East and Australia, and move the ships over to Europe and America. So they've got ships that weren't on sale that are now all of a sudden on sale. So definitely there's going to be some fantastic cruise offers. So if you're maybe on the fence and think cruise is now's the time. I know there's a lot of uncertainty.
It just feels like an old people's business, Keith.
It's not. We need to do a whole episode on cruise.
For young people. Right, we'll do that next week.
Honestly, we can do a whole cruise on why you should cruise.
Okay, I'm very into it. So yeah, know where you want to go.
Long haul, definitely. If you're looking for a long haul destination like the Maldives, the Caribbean, America, not so much the Far East. I don't think you won't see as many deep discounts, but I think you will see some. But definitely I'm seeing kind of long haul options more than short haul. Short haul, just because the margins are a lot lower on short haul to like Europe and Spain and places like that. So there's not as much wriggle room to kind of play about with, and there's not much to entice, if you get what I mean. Like Jet2 and TUI don't do first class seats. It's economy or bus type of thing.
Yeah, because some of them do, but they ain't. They're not.
No, they're like a slightly bigger seat, and you get maybe a glass of champagne. It's not proper. It's not like you said, it's not Virgin or Qatar or the famous first class options.
They're always available when you go to check in. The upgrade is always available, but it's always just slightly too much for what I think it's worth. So yeah, what's your hot tip? Because we are running out of time. What should people know this week about travel? What's the news?
It is ultimately, like I say, have an idea in mind of where you want to go. If you are somebody who's a big fan of America, then keep an eye out, because there will be some fantastic America offers. Definitely, they're already coming in. You've seen them already, and we're not even at officially Black Friday. Definitely cruise as well. If you're on the fence about cruise, you want to try it, and you think maybe 2021 or 2022 could be a year to try cruise, you can get a fantastic sailing from we call them ex-UK. So just sailing from the UK and back, you don't have to fly. Great offers, fantastic time to try it. Mediterranean sailings, Northern European sailings, fantastic offers all around from pretty much every cruise line company out there. So definitely something to think about.
Based on your experience, like they're so meticulous about cleaning that they're kind of already a step ahead on COVID. Because I guess a plane is something that's quite scary for people, because you're in a tin with people who don't necessarily care at the level that you care. Whereas I guess if you're on a cruise, you're getting on a boat, you can socially distance immediately. Yeah, and you never have to be more than 2 meters near people. So I can see the appeal of it versus.
I would prefer to sail somewhere than fly somewhere. This is why we've booked what they call an ex-UK. So it's literally a 2-night sample cruise with MSC Cruise Lines. We're leaving from Southampton, going to Guernsey for the day and coming back. All-inclusive food and drink. And it was something like £260 per person in a balcony classroom as well. So there's lots of really great sample cruises. So like 2, 3, 4-night cruises that are like, less than a couple of £100. So you can just get a feel and a taster for it. And usually...
Just give it a go. I didn't realise those existed.
I didn't.
Well, I suppose they're not advertised, because they don't want you to do that. They want you to do 28 days with all the old ladies.
The thing is, there's this perception that that's what cruise is. Everyone thinks
there's
cruise are...
There's nothing wrong with old ladies. I've not been down on old ladies, by the way. They're really fun.
There is very much that market, though, and there is something we can talk about more. Like, there is definitely the traditional cruise market that is more mature customers, longer itineraries, and they're doing kind of world tours or multi-annex tours. The general market and the growing market, the market that is just booming, is definitely our age, if I'm being honest. They're people in our age, Gen Xers and around that age, late millennials, who are looking to
I'm
experience
36. I know I don't look it. Stop it. Yeah.
They're definitely the new generation of cruisers. They're the people who are consuming cruises at a faster rate than kind of the old generation now. And the newer cruise ships are catering to that market, and they're catering to that market really well and aggressively. And
I think Jane McDonald was like brilliant for cruises, but also terrible.
Yeah. Well, she caters to that traditional cruise market, and you know, I love Jane McDonald. I think that every gay does, type of thing. But
not 30 days of it, though.
But they're definitely. Did you watch?
Yeah.
Did you watch the £1 billion cruise ship, $1 billion cruise ship show that was on? I think it was more for a few weeks back. No. They were looking at Royal Caribbean, and they were looking at the world's largest cruise ship. And
you're such a nerd.
Oh, honestly, this is a wild night in our house. It's kind of cocktails and watching cruise ship documentaries. Like, I can show you some great videos. There's a really great one from Celebrity Cruise Lines as well. They the first ever cruise ship to employ an American female captain. She's amazing. I love her. Her name's Katie, and she's got a cat as well called Bug Naked. That is a naked cat who stays on the ship with her at the same time. I'm obsessed with her. She does the best TikToks, honestly. Like,
amazing. Because I guess that's the only other thing, and that's something we'll probably cover in another show. One thing I absolutely cannot abide on all-inclusive holidays is how crap the entertainment is. So we will cover this in another show, because I think I've got half hour in me about the entertainment.
No, we did say we'll keep the half hour.
We did, and we've already gone over.
I definitely think I can convert you to a cruise. I definitely think there's a cruiser in you waiting to come out.
All right, I believe you. Thousands wouldn't. Okay, so I've been Vix,
I've been
Kieran, student, and this has been our first ever episode.
Yeah.
Where can we find more information about holidays, Kieran? So if we've got are you going to go and put a Facebook post up that covers these points just for people who didn't make notes? I didn't make notes.
Yeah, definitely. I don't want to go too much into kind of where to book holidays. Ultimately, if you are looking for a fantastic holiday, want to make sure it's ATOL protected. Obviously, speak to
me.
Get in touch. NJT, Kieran and Phil on both Facebook and Instagram. You can email us, find our website, kieranandphil.notjusttravel.com. Like I say, just reach out, message, say where you want to go, and we can help you get there.
And and if you have any questions about this, give us a shout and we can cover them on the next episode.
Yeah, any topics as well, definitely. If you want us to talk about anything, you want to know more about any particular topic, destination, drop us a message, let us know. We'd love to chat about it.
Because I'm here to ask the stupid questions so other people don't have to. You don't even need to cue me up. I've got them. They're already here.
Do the question.
All right. Well, I will see you. I'll see you next week.
All right. Thank you. See you soon. Bye.
See you soon. Bye.